have some questions, and Catherine's going to come up here with me, and we'll put them forward so that we can all share in them.
First question from the people, Steve Warner. What are some of the greatest lessons you've learned while working in music ministry? This can be related to music ministry or not, but just some of the greatest lessons you've learned.
I would say probably one of the most important lessons to be learned is that, and the answer is contained in the question, it is music ministry. Ministry is the noun and music is the adjective, and what we need to be doing is to keep our eyes and our hearts set on the ministerial aspect of everything that we do. It's very admirable, laudable, to be able to pull a great choir together. But to take that choir to a deeper level, to an understanding of community, of service, of ineffability, of bringing people to a sense of awe, of respect, prayerful respect for one another and the differences that are between people, and still be able to work together and sing together. These are all on a level that's far beyond music, and that's in the realm of ministry. So I would say that probably the first, and I think that question came from Creighton.
Yeah, it did.
So thank you to whoever asked that question. The first and greatest lesson is to see everything through the lens of ministry. It's a calling, it's a vocational discernment, it's a vocational lens, and not to be embarrassed by that. There are some people who would look at that and say, well, it's just parish music. It's parochial music, it's its own discipline, it's a noble calling, and don't ever apologize for the lens through which you see that.
Yeah. Okay, second question. This is from one of our commenters, watchers on YouTube right now, from Kurt. From the perspective of a high school campus minister, how, if at all, would you alter your approach to cultural encounter in the Mass with a congregation that has 25% turnover each year?
Well, I had that.
Yeah.
You're in a constant state of rebuilding. And the reason I say I had that was because through the normal sense of attrition, when you're working on a college campus, you're saying goodbye to 25% of your student body every year. So you're in a constant sense of rebuilding with them. There's something actually rather refreshing about that, because you know that the tearful farewells that you have are going to enrich the church in a very profound way. I once gave a talk on the living fraction rite, the fraction rite being the breaking of the bread so that others can be fed. In many ways, a college campus is like that. The community is broken up every year. It's not a heartbreaking thing, it's a breaking thing so that people can be fed in a more robust and beautiful way. It's not heartbreaking, it's actually nourishing. And so to take a look at that from a different point of view, it is a challenge. It's even a challenge here at University Church, because in some ways we represent an even more fluid landscape than the sort of thing that we would experience on a college campus, because on a college campus you'd know, well, here comes May, and see you later, 25% of the four-year class that's there, you know. You could expect it. Here in City Center, you never know when people are going to leave and when other people are going to show up, but there's always a turnover that's there. There is something to be said. There is this thing that's going on with social media right now, which is about sourdough. What does that have to do with what I'm just talking about? It has to do with the fact that if you use that fundamental image of leaven, sourdough always uses a starter. There's coming and there's going, and people are always enriching. I don't think there's anything to fear from that. It's a natural human dynamic. It's one of the challenges, and actually maybe one of the more robust things about the church, that people are always coming and going. The problem right now is that there is no coming and going. There is no gathering. We're all pretty much in our living room diasporas right now.
Okay, here's another question from the YouTube. Any suggestions for how to reach those who aren't already showing up, virtually or in person?
We're facing this dynamic every day here at Newman University Church, even on college campuses. There is a phrase that's used called the low-hanging fruit.
Yes.
These are the people that no matter what you do, they would show up. And that's not a challenge to ministers, that's the building blocks from where you move further outward. We were having a discussion about this just the other day, even with the social media called Facebook. When we were putting together our Facebook ads and thinking, who are we going to go to? Well, for the first year now, we've been thinking about, well, we should send those ads to people that are interested in ministry and theology and music and spirituality and maybe philosophy. But a couple of days ago, we were thinking to ourselves, we had a discussion about this, why should we just throw that all out the window and talk about going after business people and folks that are involved in advertising and folks in technology, and just completely throw the Facebook model upside down and go down those avenues where there are people that haven't encountered the kind of work that we're doing. If there's one thing that's sort of been maybe urging me on this past year, and my colleagues can unfortunately probably attest to this because I keep coming in and scratching my head about it, it's the problem of moving beyond the low-hanging fruit. That's one example with Facebook advertising as a way to reach here in Dublin a young, highly intelligent, very motivated business sense, but also probably spiritually deprived demographic. So we're beginning to rethink those different models, and I encourage all of you that are looking at things, don't be afraid to wrestle with the issue of low-hanging fruit. It's one of the things that ministers have to constantly look at, and it's one of the pivotal questions to evangelization.